Welcome back to our generic crafting tutorial series. In this bonus episode, I'm going to go through and I'm going to rename all of my inventory functions to have AC in front of them. And this is just a little something that I do to make sure that we don't get any excessive stalls for any reason. Now, I don't think we need to do it in our inventory component, but if for some reason, inside of your interaction here, inside your BPI interactions, if you have the same name, like if you didn't put I in front of it like I did, and maybe you just said gather item, and then you have another function in the game or in your player or whatever's interacting with this as gather item or enhance item as exactly the same name, there's a non-zero chance you're going to stall out your game all of the time, and it's going to look really weird. Because you're pretty much anytime you call an interface event, it's going to stall out your game. So that's just something I wanted to do here to just kind of make sure that we never really stall out of this. So I'm just going to come through my AC inventory and everything is just going to be AC. So AC adjust currency, AC add to inventory. I'm just going to go ahead and do all of that here. So we're going to save all that up and hopefully our game decides it's still going to work. It did not work as expected. Right, failed to find functions. I'm just going to send that and restart. Maybe at some point, Epic will come up with a way to properly address renaming, but renaming is really generally not a good thing. And let's go ahead and press play now. It's either going to give me a ton of errors or it's going to work. Hey, it decided to work. Check and see if everything's still saved. We see our class is still saved properly. We see everything looks like it's still working in here. If I drop these iron ore, let's store them up. Oh, that's right. This chest is full. That chest is full. It cannot store items. Let's go ahead and try to store them in the bank. And yeah, we were able to store items. So hey, that's great. Make sure these guys are still working. And sell some of these potions. Yay, looks like they're still working. So that's all you really need to do there. Now, if you, like, for whatever reason, you had your BPI interactions here. And now that we crashed the game out, it's going to do this weird stuff. But if you had these maybe originally not saved as I, and you had to go through and rename them for whatever reason, or you're still getting a ton of stalls and you can't quite figure out why, what we're going to do here is we're going to go through and delete all of the stuff inside of our folder. So you're going to go into your documents or wherever your, whoops, not Visual Studio. You're going to go into your documents or wherever your project folder might be. Mine is in Documents Unreal Project, and then we are using this generic crafting demo. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and delete my config folder. Now, if you did a bunch of stuff inside of your engine INI or whatever, because you're doing multiplayer, you might not want to do that. But if we open this up and we see, it should be default editor, or it might be default engine. Basically, sometimes these get really bloated. Not that. I guess it didn't happen in this game. But sometimes these... Oh, yeah, here we are. These will get really bloated with a bunch of redirects and all sorts of crazy stuff that we really don't need. So I like to go ahead and delete those periodically or when I find a good checkpoint. So I'm just going to Control Z, Control V this onto the desktop. That way we have a backup for it. And then I'm going to delete my config. I'm going to delete this derived data cache. I'm going to delete my intermediate. And I'm going to delete my saved. And that's going to give me basically a brand new, fresh project when I open it up. It's going to rebuild all of the things, right? All of the stuff, all of the things. And we're just going to have to go through and set one or two things up real quick. So we're just going to have to go through and go into our project settings again and set up our maps and modes. And this is another good way to, like if you're getting a lot of crashes and you can't quite figure out why, this is a good way to go ahead and reset everything, is to just do that. So now when I press play, hopefully it'll, yeah, it's not going to do that. It's not nice enough to start me up there. We're going to have to go through and open our map. And now when I press play, we're going to have to set our game mode as well. Remember everything I have to do here. You'd think I would know since I've done this like a billion times, but yeah. So now we don't have our crafting classes or anything, and there shouldn't be any items inside of our storage boxes. Yeah, no items in our storage boxes. Everything has been reset to default, right? All of our save data. There's nothing inside of our bank. We've got a nice clean game to work with. So one more thing before I log here. Let's make sure we can actually trade with the vendors. Yeah, they have stuff. We don't have money though. If you decided for some reason inside of your game instance to put a custom structure in here, so if you put any of your custom structures like your inventory, and you changed any value inside of that structure for whatever reason, if you have them saved in variables in your game instance, there's like a non-zero chance, there's actually a very high chance that eventually you're going to get completely locked out of your game because the game instance does not like custom structures. Honestly, I have a hard time even doing save in my game instance or anything at all that I don't absolutely have to because the game instance really does not like you having custom functionality. It just is a very consistent thing I see in the forums is people getting completely locked out of their project, and 5 out of 10 times it's probably because they have a custom structure inside of their game instance somewhere. And that's why we don't save any of those values in here, right? We don't get our inventory from here. We don't get anything at all. We just create the save game object. We try to save the game, and that's it, right? Everything else goes through our BPFL or it goes through our player. We don't actually pull any of that data out of our game instance. So if you did, for some reason, put a custom structure in your game instance, and maybe you can't even get into your game anymore, because if you try to load up your game, right, in your project settings, in your maps and modes, the very first thing it's going to do is try to load your GI custom, and if your GI custom's broken, it's not going to let you open the project at all. And I've troubleshot that many, many, many times. And what you have to do here is, again, go into your folder here. So mine is Unreal Projects Generic Crafting Demo. And you're going to have to delete all of this stuff like we just did. So you're going to delete the content, or the config. Do this real quick. You're going to delete this derived data cache inside of there, the VT. You're going to delete the intermediate. You're going to delete the saved. And you're actually going to take your content. You're going to control copy, control paste. Get it content copy or content backup, whatever you want. And make sure you delete your entire content folder as well. Because when you do that, it's going to make a brand new content folder for your game. We're going to open this up real quick. See, it's going to make a brand new content folder for your game, and it's probably going to let you open it even if your game instance was broken, because now it's using the generic game instance Unreal object that is created when you make a new project, right? It's going to be just like you made a fresh new project. So as soon as you are able to get it open, we're going to go in here and delete our content. And we're just going to rename our content back to content. And we're going to open up our generic crafting demo. And that's a good way to kind of troubleshoot and see exactly what blueprint is causing that issue if you're not using C++, right? You can't just recompile the entire thing and figure it out the hard way. So yeah, if you're getting locked out of your game project for whatever reason, that's just a really good way to test that. And then when you come in here, right, and you try to open up your game instance or maybe your map, I know this happens a lot with people, the generic level, whatever your main menu level is, tries to call game instance in the level blueprint. Ours doesn't do anything at all. But maybe your generic level tries to call game instance to load something up for some reason. If you try to open that or you try to open your game instance, there's a non-zero chance that's going to crash your engine and you're going to have to restart that whole process. But now you know what blueprint is broken. So that's kind of something I like to troubleshoot with if I get locked out of the engine completely, is to just delete everything, come back in, and just start opening things one by one to figure out what exactly is broken. 9 times out of 10, it's probably the game instance if you did something custom in there. So just something to keep in mind. I'm going to go through one more time. We're going to go through one more thing, and this is if you just want to delete your saved game data. So we're going to go through generic level, GI custom. That way we can actually save the game. I'm going to press play. I forgot to change the game mode back over again. GM custom, press play. Now that we've saved the game, I'm going to go ahead and close out of this, close out of my project. And if you just want to delete the save file, you can go into your save games, and it's going to be your default save or whatever you labeled your save as. So again, that's in your project folder, saved, save games, and default save. can also check our logs here. And we can see all these logs. It's a good way to check and see what exactly broke as well. Even though it's pretty difficult to actually read these logs. There's a lot of things in here. There's a lot of things in here. But just good to know, right? A couple of utilities here that are generally very helpful when troubleshooting because something has broken along the way. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked this bonus video in our generic crafting series. Hopefully this helps you out. Maybe if you're locked out of a totally different project that isn't even related to generic crafting. Again, your game instance, I do not recommend ever putting anything custom struct-wise in here. I recommend keeping your game instance as lightweight as possible. The only thing we do here is just try to save the game because we can call this from anywhere in the world. It's just kind of easy to call it from here and do our save game. That's the only reason we even do it here. If you're enjoying the videos so far, I urge you to join our Patreon. For just $3 a month, you'll get access to all of the videos in this series as soon as I create them. Always available on Patreon, always free, and ready to go. You'll also get a copy of the example project so you can follow along step by step with a real visual guide in the project.